Peter.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to the West Mass ABCA public meeting for the fiscal year 23 EPA Brownfield Cleanup Grant, which we have for the Ludlow Mills in Ludlow, Massachusetts, which is a large brownfield with multiple buildings and acres. This specific cleanup grant is related to Ludlow Mill Buildings 46 and 58, the former locomotive buildings, and the 300 series warehouse. The ABCA is, and I'll let our consultant give you the full title, but basically it's our the method that we're choosing to do abatement based on several options, and how we are going to handle the cleanup and all the pieces that we need to work on for the EPA. And I'm going to turn it over to our qualified environmental professional, Verdantis, and their representative, Eric DiNardo. All yours, Eric.
Thanks, Sarah. So yeah, I'm just going to run through this. So as Sarah mentioned, this is the ABCA, so Analysis of Brownfields Cleanup Alternatives. I will go ahead and give a little background. So as Sarah kind of alluded to, West Mass manages the 140-acre Ludlow Mills project. It's one of the largest mill redevelopment projects in New England. It involves both private and public investment to support ongoing redevelopment and revitalization. There's a 4-year grant period of performance for the fiscal year 2023 EPA Brownfields grant in 2023 worth approximately $740,000. Myself, as part of Verdantis, I am a senior project manager in engineering, but I am also a qualified environmental professional. And today's meeting commences the 30-day public review and comment of the ABCA. Go ahead and move to the next slide. So as Sarah also mentioned, there's building 46, which is the former locomotive barn. There's building 58, which was built in 1915. And then there's the 300 warehouse, which is approximately 125,000 square feet, an 8-story concrete and brick building. So the picture to the top here is a side view of the 46 building with the 58 in the back. And then the lower picture is the 300s warehouse. So some site conditions and some impacts. So both are vacant and unoccupied. There is asbestos-containing material and lead in both buildings. There's roofing, siding, paint, floor tiles, windows, pipe insulation, concrete, and cement are just some various ACM contaminants that we have to deal with for an abatement process. There are some structural concerns related specifically to building 46, which will be addressed in the bid documentation and specifications. The 300s warehouse has 6-foot-high ceilings and uneven floors, so it does create some difficulty when it comes to proper containment during asbestos abatement procedures, but that will also be addressed during our bid documentation phase. So I just felt we should kind of follow the cleanup approach. As we kind of alluded to, there's the building 46 and 58 abatement process, and then there's the building 300s process. So the building 46 and 58, just some kind of approaches. We're going to do an advertisement and solicitation of qualified contractors. There will be some limited site clearing, which will be completed by West Mass, which is essentially just removing some trees and brush in the area. There will also be site preparation by the contractor. So the contractor is responsible for soil erosion sediment control, some temporary fencing for security purposes. The first implementation would be for the temporary shoring and structural controls to make sure that building 46 is adequate for access for the abatement contractors and of the like. Then it will be primarily traditional abatement and disposal with periodic project monitoring, which will be completed by our subconsultant, EFI Global. There's also a hazardous building materials removal and disposal. There's not too much related to hazardous building materials, but it is prevalent in both building 46 and 58 as well as the 300. So that will be managed under this bid project. Then obviously we will put in temporary security controls. The temporary security controls are mainly for once the windows are abated. The plan is to essentially plywood up the openings so that we can adequately secure the building. And then ultimately we will do a closeout punch list inspection to make sure that everything was done in accordance with the design plans and bid specifications. And essentially the 300s warehouse is essentially the same thing. There will be the same sort of process with advertisement and solicitation. There will be site preparation. There's not a need to do site clearing at this time. The only difference between 300s and the 46 and 58 project is there will be a need to do a non-traditional abatement and disposal. This is primarily for the roof. The main reason is you can't do a secondary containment for the roof abatement due to the height of the building. So that will be handled first. Then there will just be a traditional abatement and disposal of the windows and the adhesive. The thing with, you know, the 300s building is there's windows that obviously have ACM present, but there's also these small tiles that actually have an adhesive on the back of them that are all asbestos containing materials. And unfortunately, you have to go through traditional abatement for those as well. There is some hazardous building materials present, so that will also be removed and disposed. And then similar to the other 46 and 58, there will be a closeout punch list inspection to confirm that everything was done in accordance to the plans and that this building is adequately abated. So the project schedule is essentially for 46 and 58, and it's an assumed 30-day construction period or 4 weeks. That is just for the construction. So usually what we'll do for advertisement is advertisements usually about 4 weeks. That allows for us to solicit the bids. It allows us to conduct a pre-bid. It allows us to answer questions and then receive the bids. Then once we receive all the bids, we'll review and basically prepare an award recommendation letter. Then there will be a contract execution and submittal review. Similar to what I just said before, there's a 4-week construction period. So right now it's assumed that there would be about a week of site preparation, a week for temporary shoring, 2 weeks for the actual asbestos and hazardous building material removal and disposal, and then a closeout inspection. Similar to the process with 46 and 58, the 300s warehouse will also, you know, include the same sort of advertisement and solicitation period of 4 weeks. 2 weeks to complete the contract execution and submittal review. And then it's going to be a little bit more of a longer construction period or abatement period for the 300s warehouse, just based on the size of the building. So the non-traditional asbestos abatement is assumed to be 4 weeks. The traditional asbestos abatement is assumed to be 2 weeks. Hazardous building material assumed to be 1 week with a closeout inspection. Right now, obviously, that accounts to 7 weeks, but we just wanted to keep it a 2-month period in terms of, you know, tentative scheduling. So then obviously, you know, there's potential reuse for both building 46 and 58. The idea right now is to currently market as a cafe, office, or another. The 300s warehouse is approved for demolition by the Ludlow Historic Commission. So once we go through the process and complete the actual asbestos abatement and hazardous building materials, West Mass will then look to move forward with the demolition of the building. So, you know, that kind of does it. There's community engagement and public repository. Electronic documents and reports are available for public review. Project updates will be provided on the West Mass website, and there will be a biannual public meeting over the 4-grant duration. If there are any questions, obviously Sarah's contact information is provided. If there are any questions that are directly related to myself or my colleagues at Verdantis, you're more than welcome to address those to Sarah, and she will then send it over to me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm going to